my ex-fiance left the country. I went from wanting to marry this person thinking, I don't even know this guy. Maybe I could make a book out of this.
You wrote that you were crying not just from pain, but for the girl who had been stuck in it for so long.
The past 4 years, I wasn't just like running away from my pain, I was maybe running ahead of it. And I remember feeling hate or grudge towards my ex still. And I was like, what the fuck? This is already 4 years.
For me, I think you flipped the narrative. After 3.5 years of relationship with your ex, you go into this rebound escapade. Like Mira went on this work holiday, extended holiday, and bumped into this one guy. She told me, oh yeah, you know what's the guy's job? A porn star. You mentioned in the book as if you guys are the hottest human being ever. So this Italian flair director, scruffy, globe-trotting man.
The best rebound ever. I face all kinds of fears. I face my fear of going back to the wedding site. I face my fear of going to a wedding when my sister got married and all those things. But I realized I've never had the conversation with my ex.
Hello everyone, welcome. It's Feliciana here, and this is your very special, very exclusive behind the scenes of Swipe Therapy with the one and only Mira Sumanti. And now, if you're here, you're not just any other viewers, you are the real ones, right? The curious, the loyal, and the emotionally fluent pre-order baddies who saw this book and said, yep, I need the tea and the therapy. Okay, now Mira. Let's move on to the first deal. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm super excited for this book, and I know that this is a long time coming as well. It's raw, it's honest, and also I have to say it's chaotic, but it's in the best way,
like real life.
But also I need if anyone's watching here, if you can say in one line. And within the on theme, within the dating app bio length frequencies.
So probably no more than 20 words.
Of course, yes. How would you best describe Swipe Therapy?
Ooh, okay. The elevator pitch would be it's a part memoir, part breakup survival guide for the dating app generation. So you'll get tips, but you also hear like my own personal story of how I recover from my own devastating breakup.
Oh, it's definitely deep. But also you mentioned about devastating breakup, right? Like life stories and personal stories. But what inspires you to actually first write this book? Like this is deep and personal.
Well, I think because when you're in the midst of it, this when I had that, my devastating breakup, that version of mine was a canceled wedding. That happened 5 weeks before. My ex-fiance, I think, probably had a mental breakdown and left the country and stole my money. So I went from wanting to marry this person thinking, I don't even know this guy, So, and that was a very, very tough times, obviously. And then I couldn't find any article online about how to cancel a wedding or what to do. Like, do you email someone? Do you just suddenly text everyone? I have no idea how to do it. So I felt very lonely maybe at a time. So to be honest, the beginning I wrote because it was just purely therapeutic. I like to journal. I just put out all my feelings, the good, the bad, my grief, my anger, everything. I keep on writing for maybe 1-2 years, and I sometimes tell the stories to my sister, because I start dating. At that time I got on Tinder and then meet some guys, and I told my sister about all the stories, and it was my sister who made a comment. One day she told me oh, your life sounds like a chick lit. That's what she said. And I was like, for those of you who don't know what chick lit is, it's like a chick literature, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and when she said that, I was like, maybe I could make a book out of this, So that's kind of when, it moved from a therapeutic, personal, I guess outpouring of my emotions into more of a creative project. And that's when I start looking at it how do I formalize this to a book, and then I start thinking about chapters, what's the ending, how do I make the characters better and stuff like that, So it has evolved, I guess, in the years.
Speaking of therapeutic journey for you while you're writing the journal, right? The book itself called Swipe Therapy.
Yeah.
obviously it's a very catchy term. Like I remember the first time you told me like, oh Fel, I'm writing a book and the book is going to be titled Swipe Therapy. I thought it was like such a good one. It clicked in my brain immediately and it's such a good term. But obviously like swipe therapy, there are more towards the name and the catchy term, right? Like catchy punchline. So what it means for you, like what is swipe therapy for you?
So I guess the easiest way to describe it is if you compare it to, we're all familiar with another form of therapy, like retail therapy. When we're like, I don't know, we in a bad mood, and then you go on retail therapy to make yourself feel better. Is it good? Sure, it makes you feel better, but you get broke sometimes for overspending on like that pair of shoes or whatever. But there's a form of therapy into it, right? I think, and then I realized that when I got on Tinder at the time and start swiping and meeting people, I wasn't ready for a relationship. So I just wanted to, I don't know, I think I was looking for distraction first, or I was looking for, I don't know, someone to make me laugh, or I don't know, of looking to understand myself better. So it felt like, going on, this dating app, meeting people of different kind, some good, some not, some had potential, some complete disaster. In a way, it taught me something more about myself, and I felt like that itself became like this form of like therapy, and therefore like that term swipe therapy came about because it is kind of like retail therapy, but on dating apps, where you get to just sometimes it makes yourself feel better, but sometimes it can also make you feel super depressed.
It's definitely the highs are highs, the lows are the lowest.
Yeah.
But also as I go through the book, as I read it, which thank you by the way for giving me an exclusive access.
Thanks for reading it.
It was really fun, and I think like you also put it spot on. You put a metaphor towards it. Like as you go through the journey of this swiping therapy, it was as if a real time lab, and I think that's really spot on. And I'm just, can you walk me through like how like this mini experiments about yourself as you go through it? What are some of the most memorable moments, and what stood out the most, and perhaps heal you the most?
Yeah, so because I am in marketing, right? I'm a marketer by day, and in marketing you do a lot of user research. So you commission some agencies, you do a lot of user research studies, A/B testing and all that. And maybe I kind of borrowed a little bit of that of my work life into my own personal life. And because after the breakup, right, there's this guy who, we were dating for 3.5 years. I thought I'm going to marry him. He's going to be the father of my child. I thought I knew this person. And only to realize, like, I don't know nothing about him. Like, he felt like a completely different person. So I was thinking that, wow, I started like doubting myself. Like, maybe I don't know how to judge someone. Maybe all my impression of him was completely wrong or something like that. So because of that, I thought that who am I to judge anyone? So and then I end up going on dates with people of all kinds because I didn't even know the kind of person who I'm suitable with or who's good for me. So I end up swiping right on like from a neuroscientist who gave me like actually really really interesting insights about like what's going on in my mind when you're like depressed and trying to erase bad memories. To like a super nice director who was super kind, but I wasn't ready for anything more than like a rebound relationship. I remember using Tinder as a way to understand someone as well. Like, another kind of like maybe rebound relationship didn't work out with like someone who had a kid, so like a divorced dad, and I didn't understand his life. And I remember as I guess using Tinder, like not long after, maybe a few months after that, I purposely want to find I searched only for 40 plus male, because I would assume if you're 40 plus, you're like a pre-love men, as in like you're like divorced, because I just want to know, I just want to do a research, all I want to know is like, I want to understand this demographic, so you can kind of like tailor it that way, like, I wasn't looking for the one. I was just trying to understand myself or other people through like because it gives you like you can like tailor who you meet, right? And based on like, you know, the filters and all that. So it allows you to experiment that way, I guess. Like you can like do your own how do you put your own
A/B testing,
sample size, you know,
research and
Yes.
survey. I really love how you put together like the science of human behavior, the science that we applied in our job, which is I would say is a occupational hazard as well. The science that we put into marketing, but also you turn it into something else and getting to know yourself, right? And you mentioned a lot about this after 3.5 years of relationship with your ex, with your ex fiance. You go into this rebound escapades, I would say, right? And this is something that's funny in the book as well. There is the science of rebound, and you specifically has a table.
we'll show it. We'll show it here.
Yes,
This is the
a
chart.
table outlining the rebound criterias. So can you walk me through on that? And like, what are some of the ones that really stood out for you? Like, this is a deal breaker, guys.
Rebound criteria. So here's the interesting thing about rebounds, right? I think some people think it's a bad thing. I think rebounds are very, very important in any breakup journey because oftentimes, you know, especially in the midst of it, you're lonely. You want like human connection. You want to be close to someone physically, emotionally, but you know you're not ready for a relationship, and nor should you be in a relationship, because let's put it this way: when you're hurting, right? When you're like down here, like in the pit of despair, you know, and like still like crying over your ex, anyone who comes along who's nice, and they may be just like baseline nice, would feel like a knight in shining armor. Simply because you're down here, you know. So anyone who's like even here, like, okay, that guy is like nice, maybe that guy is my one. No. Like don't trust that. I think because you're still hurting, you know. I think you want to get to a normal baseline state before you're able to kind of evaluate someone as a whole. So the way I see rebounds are that, you know, but again, you need to meet someone who understands your situation. Like they need to know that, yes, this is a temporary relationship, that we're both kind of maybe helping each other get through some tough times in our life. We may or may not be together in the long term, and that's okay. So when I tell some girlfriends who are kind of going through rebounds, it's actually opposite to when you're finding the one or like people to get into a relationship. For rebounds, you actually want to find the red flags, you know, because when people have red flags like, okay, this guy is super nice, fun, but he's leaving the country in 6 months. Red flag. But it's perfect for rebound because then there's a deadline, you know, so you don't have to think about like, am I going to marry this person? No, you're not going to marry because he's going to be gone in 6 months. You can just enjoy the time, you know, that 6 months, be as open and as like free and just enjoy like the present moment with this person. Because, you know, in 6 months you'll say goodbye and then you'll have a beautiful rebound relationship to remember. So the red flags could be that, like a deadline, like a natural deadline. They're leaving, or I don't know, different religion. You know, if your families are very strict and doesn't allow for that, or I don't know, if you want to have a kid, but then this person doesn't, or maybe they already have 3 kids from past marriage and doesn't want anymore, you know, like red flags are actually good for rebounds because then it allows you to not fall too deep, too hard on for that person, because you know you cannot be with this person long term. But for like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, it's great. It's actually brilliant.
So it's important, guys and girls out there, to remember: do not catch feelings with your rebound and chase the red flags at the right time. Because I think that's always been the case with everyone, right? Like sometimes when we're vulnerable, when we're hearts cracked open, we are looking for somebody to fill the void. So we're looking to find somebody like with Mr. Right now, right at the moment, right? But it's also important for us to remember that
you're still healing.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes a great amount of self-awareness though. Like how do you first came about to stop yourself? Like what are the thoughts?
From falling on your rebound?
Catching feelings on your rebounds. And then second, like to know and really come to terms and acceptance that you are still healing and you are not ready for any committed relationship. Because sometimes, let's be honest here, like perhaps this is applied to, because I'm a woman, so this is something that I also experienced my firsthand. I want like immediately a revenge for my ex that I'm living, thriving, and getting the best person out there, right? And that, like, I have this delulu of like, oh, this rebound or this guy, the next guy come along, it's
gonna
my
be gonna be your husband.
Exactly, my husband, which is exactly the best that I can get, right? So how do you stop yourself in that specific moment?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I learned the beauty of a rebound relationship because I experienced one when I was younger, when I was like in my early 20s.
Okay, early practice, okay.
Yes, and there's this. It was literally that where I was 21, and then I think this guy is featured in chapter 3, I think, or 2. I forgot 3. Yes.
Okay.
So his initials is KDY.
Woo, I remember this. Woo, hello. I like this
Because again, I was 21 and like I just came out of a breakup. I just moved to Amsterdam. Like I was just want to explore, just want to have fun. And I met this guy and then like artsy fartsy party, New Year's Eve. You know, we were all dressed up in like mass. Michael Jackson was playing. It was in an art gallery, so it was very like artsy. And then
spoiler alert, in the book, Mira described him super hot, by the way. So continue. Maybe this is a 21 years old hormone coming back. Yes.
Yeah, and he's this kind of like mix of like a Buddhist monk, Zen like, but then he was like dressed like super cool streetwear. And then we had like a lot of fun that night. Basically, like one thing leads to another. We were like dancing and all that. And then we had a lot of fun. We knew we wanted to kind of see each other again. And then like I think we went for another date. And then like we ended up at his place. And he was just showing me around. I went to his place, and then he was showing me like all his rooms and everything. And then I saw a photo of a girl on his desk. You know, and then I asked him, "Oh, who's that?" And he was like, "Oh, that's my daughter." And I was like, "What? wait, what?" Like, and I was like, "No, I'm 21. I'm not ready to be a stepmom." That's what went on in my head, you know, because it's like this is too much, you know, like. This guy is fun, but I don't want. I'm not ready for this, you know.
Major red flags.
So huge red flags, right? It's like if you're thinking, if in your mind it's like, oh, this guy has a potential. If you're thinking that, okay, I'm seeing this guy because I want to see whether he can be a future husband or whatever serious, you'll be like, I'm out of here. I'm sorry, like, bye. You know, you go. But it was winter, it was cold. I was like, I don't want to cycle by myself. So I sat there, I asked for a glass of wine first because I was like, I need to figure out like, what do I do? You know, like I enjoy his company. We had a lot of fun together. Yep. We talk about going to more art galleries in Amsterdam. But he has a daughter, you know, and he said he was leaving the country in like 6 months or something. He was waiting for his green card, you know? So I was like, I was really thinking like, do I just leave now because like there's no potential for this, or like, or maybe we could like, you know, see what this can be like, you know,
just have fun.
Just have fun, exactly. Like present. It was because there's a deadline. I know I will never marry him because of all the red flags and
you're 21.
Reasons. I was 21, exactly. Yes,
hello.
So I didn't want to marry at the time. So I figured, okay, let's give it a try, you know. And then I was like, okay, we had like, you know, one of the most beautiful like, I would say rebound relationship because we were just present. Like we knew we will not marry each other. That will never happen. We knew, but because of that, when you alleviate those pressure, then you can just be in the moment. We were just enjoying each other's company. You can kind of be like romantic in a way that you're like, but because we know, like, even if you're overly romantic, no one's gonna say like, oh, that you know, that person catch feeling first or this and that, you know, like, so no worries like that way, you know. And when the time come for him to leave, we just said our goodbye, you know, and then we just said, this was beautiful, but let's not have a sequel because, you know, in movies, sequel sucks. Always, you know.
True. They're gonna ruin the stories and the plotline and the experience. But hopefully, in his case, he just catch flights and hopefully somewhat catch feelings as well with you. Because of beautiful memories.
Yeah. And I will always remember him as like the best rebound ever. And we had a really nice goodbye moment. I remember we went out again for a party. And it was, again, it doesn't mean if it's a rebound relationship you can't have like a romance. You actually can have very, very like, you know, strong connection. I just remember he told me that just wanted to let you know that, if circumstances were different, I just want to let you know that you're totally a girlfriend material.
Let's not say that. Do not say that.
That's all I needed to hear. I was like, okay, it doesn't mean just because we don't end up that way doesn't mean I'm not good enough for a relationship, So it was beautiful, but it ended, and that was okay, And I learned a lot from that, and that what led me to thinking that rebounds are not bad. If you met someone that you mutually agree that this is going to be a temporary relationship,
the greatest rebound of all time. But also, I think what's really fun about you and what's interesting and I would say admirable is you be able to stop and think logically in the midst of highly emotional moments, right? For me, I think you flip the narrative. You flip the narrative in a way that, okay, girls or women or men out there, let's not obsess with the one, right? But you break down this one into one right now.
Yes, exactly.
One at this moment, one tonight,
yes.
one at this particular moment,
or this particular country.
Exactly, one country, one language, one race. So I feel like this ones had so many layers and so many moments and series, right?
Yes.
So can you how does it does it come almost immediately to you, or is it a realizations that come over time?
Yeah, I guess because I feel like, when we set too high of an expectation, you'll only just disappoint yourself, right? And I think similar with dating and maybe finding partner, because when we over obsess someone, thinking like, oh, this person has all these credentials, has the potential to be like my life partner, this and that, then like your expectations are here, and you don't even let your you don't even have room for your feelings to grow or see the person as they are. And then I guess I kind of always have this principle whenever I meet someone from dating apps. My minimum requirement would be that they should be at least a good LinkedIn contact, So let's say
networking priority, guys.
Right? Because
of course.
because if you're, so then at least if I go on this date and then I see that, oh, we don't have a chemistry for a follow-up date or anything, but this person, hey, maybe professionally good contact, then it's a success. It's not a waste of time, that coffee,
Of course, or you learn something new.
I learn something new from them, exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe he made me realize about something,
Exactly.
I think that's that. Because if we're going into a date expecting like, is this person going to be the one, then like you're putting so much pressure on yourself and the other person, and then like even the smallest flaw they have will make you upset and all that, and it's so hard to judge someone just by one coffee. Some people need sometimes a month to warm up, maybe, or at least a few dates.
True.
Yeah.
Even probation period takes 3 months.
Exactly.
Minimum.
Exactly.
There should be a science behind it.
Exactly. So I think you should at least give another chance on anyone, and just because there's no, like, I don't know, like we're maybe sold on this idea that there needs to be like this crazy spark, when
That's
you
true.
meet, but like you said, even work takes time to kind of build on you. So
That's true.
Yeah.
So I think let's not get swayed too much of what's the ideal or romantic idea or romantic movies normally.
Yeah.
The plot line.
That's the reason why there's a movie.
Exactly. But the reality is, like, it takes time for somebody to get to know each other, and it takes time for you to understand and peel back those layers.
Yeah,
right?
and then exactly, and if you go on a date and you don't feel the spark, doesn't mean it's a failed date. Like maybe you get a new network, maybe you get a new friend, maybe you learn something from that person, and that's good enough.
And you learn something about what you don't want.
Exactly.
And there's
Yeah.
learning something from yourself.
Exactly.
About
Yep.
yourself
About
as
yourself.
well.
Yeah.
And I think like you mentioned a lot about like this coffee dates, this dates that teach you a lot about like you yourself as well and what you want, and perhaps just another another add to the network, right? Like I really want to talk about the variety, yes, each of this person and individuals who you later get to see and get to read on the book. But one in particular that really caught my attention
Who?
And boys or men out there who featured and somewhat describe and come to Mira's life, you mentioned in the book as if you guys are the hottest human being ever. So as I read through the book, like I kept thinking like, oh my God, like each of these men sounded super hot and super good looking, super like has this enticing aura about them that got me curious as well, right? And one of the ones that got me slamming my sofa a lot and like yelling is the director. This Italian flair director, scruffy, globe-trotting man who, by the way, lived in a suitcase. I thought, like, from him, like, from his masculine vibe, like, this biker turns director, car directors, like, this big brand's name, he would, like, care less about, like, he have this like, carefree attitude. But he's not that way, especially when it comes to his social media. Which I was like, dude, seriously? So can you tell me more about like this man,
this character,
because you are in some way, I feel like you're also such a family woman, like a family person, right? But now you met this guy who's totally doesn't even have a home. He lived in a suitcase, right? Globe-trotting around the world. And then I remember we're so contrast in a way that I am very particular on what I put on my feed. I am in that feed prison, as you call it. But this guy, it's also that way. But you are very much like, no, I like to post. So how do you balance that out? Like, how do you see this guy to begin with?
The thing that he did on his first of all, I think I love his character as well. I think he's
hot.
I cannot say that because I'm married now.
yeah. Okay. In my mind, he's hot.
He is a very interesting contradiction of character. You're right, because he has a very carefree, chill vibe nature with his Vans, folded jeans, like not caring, but he just happens to, I guess, work in an industry where you kind of have to care because he's surrounded by, models. He's surrounded by people who are looking to cars and they want them to make it look beautiful. Like I feel like I always say like it feels like the way he shoot cars like he's shooting porn, but like it's with cars, because the way like the way he the camera movement, the way he captures like the shape of the cars and all that. So he has like an amazing eye for that. But because of that too, right? His feed. He always said his feed was his name card for him because he's in that industry. And then I remember he always kind of complained that, he's been in the industry for like many, many years, but there's all these like young 20 something, I guess early young Gen Z wannabe directors who has, maybe like millions of following on Instagram, but don't know how to shoot, but they got booked because of their Instagram, so he's like competing against all these kinds of like young kids. So he kind of, he doesn't maybe like it, but he has to kind of like get into the feed prison. Every single post that he does needs to be super meticulous. Everything is edited out, like the colors, everything, because for him it's like he's selling his vision, and but when I saw that, like that was completely against my own principle. Like for me, it's like if it takes you more than 20 seconds to edit, then like why? Like you're supposed to just live in the moment and share, like
True.
like it just like there's too much over polished, highly curated stuff, that it's making people depressed.
I'm guilty of that.
And I remember like back to the wedding and like this feed prison. I remember feeling my own feed becoming my feed prison because this was happening maybe a few weeks or a few months before the wedding. My relationship with my ex-fiance was already like not in a good place, but we were posting holiday photos on our feed, like we were going to Bali or like Thailand, like so it looked like we were having a good life. And I remember there was a friend from Amsterdam who was supposed to come for the wedding, and I think this person messaged me and said like, oh my god, like you guys have the best life, you guys have like the most amazing life with all your trips. And then I was thinking at that time like, no, but we've been fighting all day, like I felt like because of the life I portrayed of us on our feet, I couldn't like tell them that we're not doing well, because like our relationship was falling apart before the wedding and all that. I felt like I was like stuck in my own feet prison because I was like over posting just the good stuff, so I think it's such a double-edged sword, and like it's and then you felt like you're not allowed to talk about bad things because when you already put all the nice things,
you're not being authentic of who you are, and sometimes that you've forgotten on who you actually are because of that image and persona that you carefully curated and projected outside, which they got me thinking and reflecting on the book. Especially on one iconic scene. Because, disclaimer, I'm a fellow Googler myself. So I'm based in Indonesia. So I was at around the same time, like with Mira already.
She knew the whole story?
I knew the story. And I know the exact spot that Mira mentioned in this book, which is the nap pot. Mbak Mira, I know that office, which is not very big, by the way. And 6 p.m. is moderately, there might be some people out there, like we do work on 6 p.m., but it's not that packed as the daylight. But you have this full-on makeout session with the Italian men at Nepot at a relatively small office with forgotten, swiped, occupied signage. Anybody could come any minute. And this is, by the way, it's not just like, make out, French kiss, done. Full on heavy makeout session, guys. Can you, is it as cinematic as it was written in the page? If I were you, I would panic. Like, no, bye, dash. But how?
Well, okay. Let me think back to that moment. I did remember, I made sure that I did flip that sign because on our nap pot you need to, when you're inside you can flip the sign and say like it's occupied. So I remember at least I put that on so to make sure that no one comes in inside. And it kind of just happened. We were not planning on having a full-on makeout session, but it happened and it was nice.
Did you check? Is there anyone sleeping there?
Yes, I checked that first.
Okay, good.
I make sure no one's like sleeping under the blanket and all that. No one was there. It was 6:30, so I assume, if someone was sleepy, they would just go home, right? So I think my logic was like on, like it's different if it's like during the day or in the afternoon. So I think no one would, unless someone wants to like sleep in the office, then they would go there. But no, so
it's
yes.
Iconic.
I mean, we don't work in that office anymore, so there's no
the office got bigger now. The Nepot now is becoming bigger, but obviously still you need to swipe the occupied sign just so everybody knows in case you want to do something shady.
I don't know. Maybe other people have done it too. They just never like told anyone, So
that's true. There's smarter way of doing things and the flexibility of having a nap pot at the office.
Yeah.
But obviously, when I read that, I was like, yo, Mira Sumanti. So legendary move. But also, like, another legendary move was, I remember this, like, back in 2016 when this thing happened. I think 2016, end of 2016, 2017, right? Like, and I was like, I'm still that sheltered, naive girl, which I'm not saying that I'm not naive anymore, but at least I've seen the world more than before. And I remember, like, Mira went on this like extended holiday, and bumped into this one guy, which I was like, okay, tell me later on, like after the holiday, okay, Fel, I'm gonna hear you later. And then when she come back, she told me, oh yeah, what's the guy's job? What? A porn star. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, hold that. Like, dial it back. What do you mean by porn star?
Well, okay. let me correct it that he is not a porn star by occupation. He is actually a photographer, but he has starred in a porn film.
And how do you describe that? A porn actor? still, no matter what.
A one-time porn star, yes, okay.
And still, a porn actor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But how do you deal with that, like, information? Like, okay, first of all, this is not like 3 months knowing. It's like 3 hours knowing. Then like, hey, sorry. Like, how?
Yeah, it was, it was interesting. but okay, I was in Lombok, right? It was my first solo trip after the whole breakup saga and everything. We finished our like crazy work till end of the year, and I just wanted to like get away, and then I decided to swipe in Lombok too, and met this guy. He was super nice. It was quite funny because like he had a very similar experience. He was into astrology, which is quite rare for a guy. He's this Brazilian guy, he's a photographer, but living in Australia. And then he was asking me what happened with my canceled wedding and at what age it happened. And then I said, okay, it was when I was 29. And he asked me like, that happened during your Saturn return. I was like, what the fuck is that? So
okay, astrologer, fine.
So apparently, I think what he's told me that is like, it's like this kind of I guess cosmic happening that always happens every, I think,
the retrograde.
Yeah, some sort of that every 12 years or every however many years. And usually big things happen during that time, because he also had a canceled engagement when he was 29. So we first met through this kind of sharing. So we built this kind of like understanding that, we both experienced this, we both kind of gone through something similar. So we connected, and I felt like, okay, I could trust this person. So that's how it started. And then we're like, okay, let's go to the beach together. We hang out, and then, in the beach, somehow one thing led to another. We shared stories about like where we used to live, what we did before. And he just casually said that he had, played in a porn film once, and I was like, well, to be perfectly honest, my very, very first instinctive reaction is I looked down to his, because like
the bulge is just showing in the pants.
Because there's like, that would be like your first like perception, right? Like if you play in a porn film, then you must have some sort of good asset, So, so that was my instinctive reaction. But then he told me that it was when he played, he was not like a full on like
Yep. Save that in the book. So guys,
Yes,
FYI, it was explained in the book how the kind of porn actor that he is, not a porn star, but also like I think, how do you keep your poker face? How?
I don't think I kept a poker face. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, whoa. I think the only thing I could think about, like, this trip is just getting crazier and weirder by the day, because like first I was on my own, and then like met this guy. We both had a canceled wedding, and then we get along super well, and then like this whole porn revelation, and I was just like, can this trip be any weirder, And but after the year that happened to me, that 2016, I was just like, okay, just universe, bring it on, whatever it is,
But it's also very unique, right? And to be honest, I have to give it to this guy though. Like he be able to vulnerable enough and open and somewhat take pride in that, which I think it's respectful. And what even more vulnerable information that he shared is this very interesting list. Dare I say a body count list. Body count list of the people that he has a shared intimate relationship with around the world. And Mira has this very cosmic angelic number somehow. And Mira did this very Mira thing to do, which is offering her helpful self to organize the body count list into a Google Sheets. Can you? How?
That trip was just like a weird one, like a weird, and fun, and a very healing in all kinds of way. And this character, this guy, has so many layers to him. I couldn't even like imagine. We again, after the whole porn star revelation. We traveled to the east of Lombok together. Had a really great time. And then, one morning he just told me that, oh, just so you know, you're like number 111. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what 111? And I was thinking like, wait a minute. Like, is that your like black book or what? And he was just like nonchalantly like, yeah, like, do you want to see the list? And it wasn't a book. It was a notepad file, a notepad.txt on his laptop.
I'm sorry, porn star, but keep up with the digital age. There's plenty of apps out there. So like Google Sheets was one of them.
It was literally just a very simple notepad, and then he was just like, I think he was typing my name, and there was there like Mira. I was 29, so he put there was a name, age, like nationality, how we met. So he put like Mira, 29, Indonesian, Tinder, and few others. Basically, he has a bunch of like data there, right? And then he has like this like 111, I guess, at the time. And I was literally like, I don't know. In the beginning, I was like, should I feel like offended? Should I like be upset? Should I feel like disgusted by this? I was trying to figure out like, what is this feeling that I have? But I guess again, I know I don't want to be with this guy. Okay. We knew this was a
fun
holiday fling. Exactly, like just a romantic escapade in the summer, end of year.
Yep.
I will not bring him to meet my mom or anything. So I was like, okay, I guess everyone has history, And then, but I guess my Google mind just kicked in, and then like when I saw that list, I just told him that like you're sitting on a lot of data,
Jesus.
So, and I'm like, I think you should transfer this to like a Google Sheets, so you can easily make like charts from this, so you can easily see the distribution, in a nice visual way.
And what were you thinking? Like a bar chart coded of like, ooh, which boobs is bigger? Like what? How do you categorize
He
them?
could probably do like a pie chart of nationality distribution, for instance.
Cool.
Or like you can do the average of age.
Okay.
So he understand his pattern.
And a profile.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, like dare I ask, like 111 partners? Did you ask like the collection period? Like
it's apparently it's over a lifetime. So
okay, so 29 years.
No, he was older. He was 30 something. So maybe, I don't know, I think he was 34, 35 at the time. So over the course of 35 years.
I hope it's a 20 year period of data collection.
Not just like
not just months. 1 year and then like, oh, let's go. Let's get this done. No. 111.
It's a whole lifetime, because like I think, for instance, if I remember correctly, one person already passed away because I don't know. I mean, it just happens.
Wow.
It's just.
But how detailed of the information, and as you see the list, like how did he even collect the data? Like through like interrogations? Like, okay, so what's your nationality? So how many partners have you had before? Like I
don't remember, but I think I think if I remember, he told me that he tried to like backfill some of the insight. I think maybe he started collecting at some point, and he just tried to remember his maybe past flings or past partners, and he just tried to like fill the information as best as he can.
Did you ever ask like what prompted him to collect this data? Oh, by the way, there's also a privacy security issues right there. The PII needs to be.
This is how much they should have asked her. He only put first name, so I think it's not a lot of.
He only remembers first names, maybe to most of them. Exactly. But I don't know.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just a strange guy.
But it's a very unique character in the book that I find is very, and also in real life, I think like when you told me, I was just like, wait, what? But then we got into this like towards the end of the chapter, or towards the end of the book. There is this also one character I vividly remember. It's very unique, very. I have a secret name. So any stories that Mira told me back then, I always nickname them just for me to keep up with all this human out there. And one of them that I call him Turkish Delight. But also it is known as the banker, right?
Yeah.
Who we thought he could be the one. Mm-hmm. So like, can you describe, like in your own words, like how would you describe him?
Oh, he's I think he's actually a really good guy. I think he's he for a period of time I really thought he was the one. For all many reasons. I think his heart is in the right place, but maybe his life isn't. You know,
His Google Calendar is not, for sure.
Yes.
And frequent flyers.
So I think it was just a case of, you know, like incompatibility of life circumstances, you know, between us. That again doesn't make him a bad person. I think he had other priorities. And again, he actually told me from day one, you know, like he did tell me, like, you know, because he's a divorced dad and I have a high flying career. I think he did tell me, like, from like the very beginning, that he was like, my life is 5% my kid and 95% my job, you know. And I guess me being this young hopeful millennial woman at a time, thinking like, oh, I can make myself, I'm gonna like scrape like 5% more from his life and that'll be me. I hope that I can change that, you know.
Of course.
But yeah, I guess
the case of therapists, there's no such thing. We're not therapists nor babysitter, guys.
Yes, exactly, that's true.
Remember that. We should not be that. But also, like, you mentioned that he's very upfront about like his intentions, about who he is as a person. But for me, I think he's very sneaky as well. Like, he come in really hot, heavy with this, like, he throws this nonchalant comments, like, if I were you, I'll be like, oh my God, of course I'm gonna be the Lulu. Like, he mentioned about this moving in together so early in a relationship, right? Like, how do you navigate that? Like,
yeah, he would say like, it's more like, now looking back at it, I don't know whether he was joking on some of those comments or like saying it just to kind of like make me feel good or anything like that. But it was, I think it did put my hopes high, you know, on some points, and because everything else seemed to fall into place, I thought like it could be something that is that has a future potential. But I don't know, maybe that's how he does.
That's how he is.
How he is. Maybe he said it, but he didn't really mean it. I don't know.
Remember, ladies or guys out there, remember to find somebody who walks the talks.
Yes.
Not just
not
all
just
talks. Speaking from deep emotions.
That is true. That is true. I think he I don't know, maybe he has the intention, but he couldn't act on it. But that means nothing also, right? Because at the end of the day, I think the actions speaks louder.
And also, like, actions to heal, actions to grow, actions to really be committed to yourself and be committed to the growth and the relationship that speaks louder, right? And I think that's shown through in the chapter as you are committed. But he was, I would say...
I mean, he's a banker. What do you expect?
True. Well, not that I have so many sample size, but
no. I'm not trying to discriminate. I'm not trying to discriminate any industry, but
but I guess the market opens at 8 and ends at 4,
exactly,
or 3 maybe sometimes. It depends on which market.
Which market you handle. So then,
but
like,
again,
there's no work-life balance
around the world. There's always an open market, so that's why they're working overtime in different time zones, right? But I think, Mira, if one thing that I really wanna ask you, like, honestly, the banker is somewhat towards the end of the chapter, right? But before that, you go through variety of personalities out there. Who surprised you the most?
Ooh, who surprised me the most? I would say chapter 4. It is one of my favorite chapter, named The Mistake. Because it's a good reminder. And it surprised me the most in a bad way because on that chapter at the time in Tokyo, I reconnected with a friend, you know, like an ex-Googler who we had like past, you know, working relationship with and all that. So I thought like it's a safe person, you know. And I actually never knew whether this person had a partner or not. And like, it's unclear from the Instagram, but, you know, he wanted to take me out. So I just assumed he's single, you know, because he wanted to take me out and we want to go out for drinking. And I assumed like, oh, and he's a friend. Like, of course, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, because someone you trust, someone you know, you had a bit of a connection before, and who seems single, at least from his social media profile.
Disclaimer, Zoogler. Former Googler, by the way. Not a current sitting Googler. And at the time, it's also like he left the company already,
Yes.
right? Yes. Okay.
So we went out, and then we end up in this like amazing Tokyo Bondage bar, which I love. And one thing lead to another, very steamy night, and then like we ended up like with a kiss.
Yeah.
And it was really at that moment when he kind of pulled back, and I just knew it. Like the way he pulled back, I was like, shit. You just knew, and you see the look in his eyes, and I was like, I straight away asked him like, don't tell me you have a girlfriend, and he's like, I actually do, and I was like, motherfucker. It's like, why?
Yeah.
It's just like, this is so unfair. You cannot
Yeah.
bring me here in this contact situation, and then after we kiss, then tell me you have a girlfriend. Like, no, it's just like, and I'm, I have morals, like
Yeah.
I do not interfere in anyone's relationship. Like, and if he has a girlfriend, I would have chosen if I knew he has a girlfriend, I would have chosen a different outfit that I would wear for the date.
True. You gotta wear pajamas.
Or I would drink
teddy
less. I would drink less that night, because what's the prospect of that person determines what you wear and how much you drink.
True.
So-
That's true. The level of alcohol consumed and the craziness ensued.
Exactly.
That's true.
So that's I guess that experience reminded me that even close friends,
Yeah.
you still need to vet.
Yeah.
Like you need to
100%.
ask, do you have a girlfriend?
That's
if you
true.
do, I'm not going out with you. So
There's also like, again, it depends on people beliefs and compass as well, right? Like people's moral compass. Like if you have this line, please adhere to this certain
Yeah.
line, right?
exactly.
And
I mean, he
sometimes if
keeps
you
on
don't
saying
care,
like
it's
it was,
fine.
it's a complicated relationship, blah blah. I'm like, nope. Keep your bullshit for yourself.
Complicated, of course, that excuse been overused, but also like that's the most surprising chapter, which is chapter 4, right? Out of all the chapters, which one healed you the most and the hardest to write? The hardest to write.
I mean, every single chapter was the hardest to write, but I think writing the whole book was hard. But I would say the most healing chapter would be chapter 2, when I had to go back to Bali, to the place where the wedding was supposed to happen on the day of, the day when the wedding was supposed to happen, and trying to figure out a way to reclaim that day and that place and that memory, so that I don't remember Bali as a place where shit only happens in my life, And I think it was thanks to, the neuroscientist that I met, who kind of gave me the courage and the knowledge that in order to like erase a certain memory, unfortunately you have to like recall it first, in a way like facing it, and then you interfere with new memory structures, so then you kind of like build new things on top of like that old thing you wanted to erase, but you have to kind of recall it first. So it was a very painful, I would say it's kind of like, I call it a bit of a suicide mission in the beginning, because I didn't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know if, am I going to break down in tears when I get there? But I knew I was surrounded by all my closest friends, that even if the worst things happen, like, I'll be okay, because they're around. So, but I realized doing that was, I just remember like waking up the next morning after that party and feeling like happy for the first time after the canceled wedding. It wasn't like a crazy, like big happiness. I was just feeling like, this is okay, this is fine. Like I can deal with this. I had a bit of this, like something shifted within me, because I felt like I was able to conquer this fear of like going back there. So I would say that chapter is definitely the most healing.
To be honest, like that chapter, when I, as a reader, as somebody who worked with you professionally throughout the period, I don't see a trace of that, what she called it, rock bottom, like mental breakdowns. I don't see that. Like at the office, she keep it professional, she keep it straight. And that was surprising for me reading through this book, Because
I was breaking down like in the morning and after work.
Exactly. Like now I realize how much of a struggle that is, like every day, to keep your sanity intact. Like
I think in a way work kept me sane too. I think if I didn't have my job at a time, I would probably go crazier because I felt like as much as you're not supposed to just find distraction, from your pain and all that, but at least I knew, okay, if I just get myself to work at 10 a.m., for 8 hours, I can just like distract myself and forget about like my breakup. I could just like, okay, focus on work, do emails. There's always something to do at work, right? So you can just like fill your mind day in, day out with just tasks. Yeah. And in a way, you're kind of maybe just pushing away the pain without dealing with it. Not good as well. But at that time, it worked, and weirdly, I got promoted during that time.
It's what they say, right?
Yes.
You can be brokenhearted, you can be experiencing breakups, but you can never be broke.
Exactly.
So, people, listen to that and remember that. But also, like, I feel like the chapter 2 you mentioned, it feels like that suicide mission, more of a like transformations, right?
Yeah, it was very
the
cathartic.
tipping point.
Yeah,
the tipping point where you are this hurt, vulnerable, cracked, like person, but you're cocooned by this love, by this people who loved you. And yes, the wedding may be a celebration of love between two people, right? But also that wedding cancellation party is a celebration of love in a very different way.
Yeah.
I would say a true love that lasts through time, right?
Yeah.
And but before that celebration of love, before that epiphany, what makes you brave enough to go on that suicide mission? Like, what drives you? It's hard, right?
It was really hard. I think, again, I have to thank the neuroscientist for giving me his wisdom.
Hi, neuroscientist, give me a call. He's like such an iconic person as well, because I feel like it's also a godsend, like so early in your swiping therapy.
Yes, it really felt like a cosmic coincidence that we met, and then like he didn't do much in a romantic sense or anything, but like he just say a few insights that like propel me to go on that like trip, to still go and be there and with my friends and all that. And then I just keep on thinking about like what I would do, in normal times. Like I just know that like dancing and like being around friends will make me feel good. Like I just love to dance it out, So I just knew like, okay, I should throw a party, just throw a party. Like no matter how big or small, I just send the invite to anyone who still has their ticket booked to Bali. Come, open deck, had friends played, I DJ'd as well, and I just like, I don't know what's gonna happen in that day. I just like get everyone there, and then I think I just end up dancing all day, all night. And I think just the act of moving, like it can have released a lot of like stagnant energy probably, and like maybe sadness in me and everything. And I remember like even when the party finished in the villa at 12, I went on with like some of my friends until like 6 a.m. I just didn't want to stop. I just want to like just dance, and all my friends were just like building that cocoon. I think we ended up at 5-6 a.m. at this like one of my favorite techno club in Bali before, Koh. I think they already closed now. But yeah, I would be just dancing, and all of my friends would be just surrounding me because they knew like they don't want anyone, like a stranger, to come to me and like try to hit on me, because like that's the last thing I need. I just want to dance, like in a dark techno club, So that's all I did until like 6 a.m. and I went to bed. And when I woke up, I just felt lighter, and it was just, and I seeing all my friends there. It was just so nice. And yeah, I'm really, really glad that I went. I think that was like a huge turning point in like the breakup journey.
I think that's a very iconic Mira moves to throw in a wedding cancellation party and just like wing it. Like, oh, what's the set? Wing it. Like, what's the food? We'll think about it later. Like, it's a very iconic move, but also a very brave thing to do.
Thank you.
Like, against all this, not just tied into certain stigma. So social stigma perhaps in Asia is much more prevalent, right? But also the world stigma. Like girls break up, like, or us going through breakup, it have to be like we're sad, or glowing up or glowing down or whatever you want to do it. Like just sat couch and stay still, right?
Yeah.
But rather than you face it like head on, throw party, the biggest party, what supposedly your wedding guests
Yes.
at your wedding venue, like might as well just dance through it. Like
Yeah.
there is myth surrounding that must be you have to let go, right? Like the stigma that you internalize that you have to let go. Like what are some of the things that the most memorable ones that after that party?
The things that I had to let go.
Yeah.
I think I just knew that, that breakup journey. After that, once I've kind of gone through it, I will be a different person. And I think I was maybe in the beginning trying to see like, oh, how am I gonna feel this way again? Like before, I'm gonna be like a certain way again. But I just knew like, no, I'm gonna come out of this in a completely different person. Like I said, I didn't even. I thought I knew the person I was gonna marry. Apparently, I don't. So I had to like relearn how I evaluate other people again, how I think about what I want or what I need in life, or the kind of person I should be, or the kind of people I should be around, or the kind of person I should marry. So I think I just like let go of, the expectation of going back to my old self and just have an open mind and relearn, get to know myself, again, like I guess one swipe at a time.
Which is very interesting as you go through the book as well. You kind of see that progressions, like from that wedding cancellations, and you grew more and more open-minded. You grew like really just, you know what, fuck it, let's do it, and let's see where this goes. But I think as much as carefree as it may look, right, or it may read to you, many of you there, for me, I don't want to butcher this. The moment that really hits me, like even after that years, right? Like the moment really hits me personally as well, is the moment where you send that long ass paragraph text to your ex after years, even after that
4 years.
strings of people, 4 years even,
4
right?
years.
Even after 4 years. And I don't want to butcher this, so I'm gonna read it like word by word because I feel that's so deep, it's very touching. You wrote that you were crying not just from pain, but for the girl who had been stuck in it for so long. What did a moment of release looks like for you?
It's I guess it was a realization that weirdly had to happen because of COVID. And, I think we were all stuck, right? Lockdown. I was living by myself in Singapore at that time, and this is when I realized first that the past 4 years, maybe all the swipes, all the travels were also a bit of a form of a distraction, of maybe my real pain, and I didn't want to admit it, or maybe I was just busy distracting myself and
The ego self.
yeah, or like I wasn't just like running away from my pain. I was maybe running ahead of it. Because before I can like slow down and like feel something. No, I'm just gonna like go on all these trips and like meet all these people. But it took COVID. When the world was standstill, you cannot go anywhere, so you cannot distract yourself with anything. And I was by myself, and I remember feeling like hate or grudge towards my ex still, and I was like, what the fuck, this is already 4 years, like I should be over this, like I've gone through all this healing journey and everything. And then that's when I realized that I face all kinds of fears. I face my fear of going back to the wedding site. I face my fear of going to a wedding when my sister got married and all those things. But I realized I've never had the conversation with my ex. Even after 4 years. I think he reached out a few times and I said, nope, I don't want to talk, And I think I just thought like, no, like you're done in my life, nothing to talk about. But I realized I've never voiced my anger or my disappointment, or I've never screamed at him, for kind of what happened, or like cry in front of him. And I think that's kind of what I needed still. And I mean, we both live a different life at a time already. Like I didn't need anything from him or anything, but I realized I haven't like let that one maybe piece of emotion or anger or whatever that is like out. So, and COVID somehow like forced me to face this, and it made me realize that this is still like stuck in me, and that's when I just thought, okay, I think it's time for me to like reach out to him. I still had his number, and I just like sent a super long text, and it wasn't even. I knew I don't even care anymore what he would say. It didn't even matter. But I think I just needed to let it out. I needed him to hear me. I needed myself to kind of hear what I needed to say to him, and I cried and cried and cried after that. But I realized that that's what I needed, because again, another cosmic coincidence. Literally a week after that, in the middle of a pandemic, then my friend sent me a message. Like a week after I had this outpouring, and I finally sent this text to him, and this friend of mine sent a photo of my ex's wedding, which is like insane. And I was just like, wait, he's getting married in the middle of a pandemic? And then, I thought that when that moment happened, because, I would be devastated. I would broke down in tears. That would be the worst day in my life, because I've lost. Because he won, he got married first, and I'm like still single, and I've lost. But when that photo came in, and I look at it, and I realized that he's not the same person that I used to love, and I'm already a different person 4 years later. And I realized that when I saw that, I've also healed in so many ways. This moment that I dread for the last 4 years apparently didn't like hurt me at all. I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, I guess thank God I didn't marry this guy, and I was okay, and that's when I realized that I've gone through a lot of healing at that time, because the moment that I absolutely dread, turned out to be just fine.
I think that's really interesting, and from your full on like hard earned experiences, as you nicely put in the book, you compiled this list of how to survive 30s breakup, right? Breakup in your 30s, and that you mentioned also about like going back and facing each and every one of your fears, from the wedding cancellations, the locations, and all those aspects shown through in the swipe escapades, I would call it. And the last thing is like really just letting it out to your ex, right? And within that practical guide as well that you put together, the hard-earned guide, like what was the one thing, like if you can actually like tell the younger self, Mira, and also maybe some of you out there that's trying to survive this as well, that's the one thing that really just healed to you the most, and the necessary have to be
Can
done.
I point to?
Of course. 1.5.
Well, okay, you didn't mention it. I think having a job is so important. Like, indeed, the last thing that you want to be when you're heartbroken is to be broke. Not just because of that, because when you have your job and your salary, then you can go on all those healing journeys. You can then you can do all those emotionally, like emo spending, purchase,
Agreed.
and all that. So, not saying that you should, like use all your money for that, but you have means to kind of at least soothe your heart a little bit more. So I think that's important to keep your job. And when you pour all your heart and soul to your job, when you lost your partner, you'll get a promotion because now you have all the time to do your work.
That's true.
But I would have to say, okay, jokes aside, I think and the very important one for me was to have a breakup BFF. And not just one. I had 3 breakup BFFs at 3 different time zones, because sometimes and I would define breakup BFFs as super close friends who really know what happened to you, and you have an open hotline with them. Basically, you can call them at any time of the day for the smallest thing, and they'll pick up. Sometimes you just want to like rant about something, or like you saw a post from your ex on Instagram, or a song made you cry, or whatever it is. And it can happen anytime. It could be at 7 a.m., it could be at 3 a.m., or it could be in the middle of the night. So it's good to have like 3 different people in 3 different time zones, so you know who to call. If you're waking up at 2 a.m. And I think that time is usually my friend Mabuk, who lives in San Francisco at a time, so he's up. So it was very practical, but you just know at least there's someone you can always call. when you need a little like emotional support.
And the distractions not to drunk call your ex.
Oh yes, that's a very important one.
Especially
Yes.
in different time zones.
Yes,
guys.
exactly.
Like, especially when you're intoxicated.
Yes.
Like, dude.
That is the worst. So you want to delete their number first.
Exactly. Delete and then just like text that person, that
Yes.
BFS, the breakup BFS. But also like I feel like throughout this book as well, you talk so much about the imposter syndrome. Being too much, right? Too late. Like the race against time. Like I feel that is inherently the society pressure that we also internalize, no matter who you are, no matter ethnicity or no matter society you're in. The race against time, especially now the internet era, is even more so.
Yeah, it's worse.
Like how do you navigate this for women out there or men out there, like trying to calm themselves down against all this? Because you also
Yeah.
internalize this.
Yeah, because I had my breakup at 29, right before I was turning 30. And then, kind of 30 was, for my 9-year-old self, 30 was kind of this moment where you're supposed to have it all, right?
Yeah.
Like by 30, you're like, you're going to get married, have your first kid and all that, So basically, I was thinking about, like I failed. And then not just that, like after I had my canceled wedding, my sister got engaged and she was younger. And I was like, I'm double failed, in this. So to be honest, I didn't have a great answer to that in the beginning. Like my answer was to avoid family gatherings, simply because I don't want to be asked like, who's your boyfriend now? What happened?
The unsolicited feedbacks from aunties and uncles.
Exactly. When are you getting married? Like,
Yep.
I just didn't want to answer that. So I would avoid Hari Raya. I remember one time I ended up spending, I traveled during Ramadan and ended up spending Hari Raya in Berghain and receiving
Celebration,
and receive a text from my mom at 7 a.m. completely intoxicated. I was like, I'm not gonna answer this. So,
But also like 30s, I feel like it's the age of weird ones. Like
yes,
you're too old to be dumb and reckless, but
Yeah.
also you're too young to live yourself.
You're not the
seriously.
like even at work, right? You're
Yeah.
not like the fresh grads who shine in anything.
Yep.
Because if you overperform a little bit, you're like, oh my god, like, you're still 22 or 23, and then you're like, you're amazing.
Yep.
But you're also not like the senior manager. You're somewhere in
Yep.
the middle. You're trying to find your foot. And in like a social setting, you're somewhere in the middle. Like some
Yeah.
of your friends are, a handful of your friends are still single. A lot of them are married with kids, and a few of them are getting divorced.
Yep.
So you're like confused. Also, who
Yeah.
should I connect with? You're like in this middle kind of like age. So there's a bit of an identity crisis,
Of course,
and plus the expectation that you should already be married and this and that. So it was a very weird one.
Yeah.
But it actually took me a while to realize that I mean, maybe that's just not my path. Like it was actually a family. It was my sister's wedding. I remember I dread that event. Not because I love my sister and I want her to be happy in her wedding and all that, but it was filled with families and like aunties and aunts in the event, and I was trying to practice like, what should I say if they ask me like, when are you getting married, and should I just say like, I've tried once, it didn't really work out, something like that.
The reactive statements, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think what happened was that, and I was just so worried about all my uncle and auntie's questions.
Yeah.
But I remember I was meeting a lot of young cousins. They were like still in high school. Another one was just in uni, like studying abroad.
Yeah.
And they were like, they come up to me like, oh, Kamira, like, how are you and all that. And they were asking me about my job, asking me about like the last travel I did, because they follow me on Instagram, you know. And then they were like, oh, you have such a cool life and this and that. And it made me realize that, oh wait, they actually look up to me, these young kids actually look up to me and like what I do. And then I realized that, and they don't even care if I'm married or not.
Yeah.
And so, why do I have to bother with like what my aunt and uncle maybe think of me and all that? Like, there's actually people who would look at you actually very positively, and you just need to kind of see that for yourself. And it took me these two young cousins to realize that maybe I'm just gonna be the cool auntie, I'll marry
Here,
late. It's fine.
They hear
Maybe the cool rich auntie.
yes, the fun, cool, rich aunties
Yes.
and beautiful ones for sure. But also, like I think what's really interesting for me is that epiphany on you. Listening to all these feedbacks and listening, like switching your perspectives, right? Like from the fear of like being gossiped about and being asked and questioned or drilled by your families, to switching that perspectives into, oh, look at the other side. Like there's always two sides of a coins, right? So that's why I think it's really important as well. Like what I gathered from your book, it's to understand there are many nuances to one situations. Right?
Everyone has their own timeline.
So it's okay.
And it's okay to be just a cool party auntie for a while. It's okay.
Yeah, no matter how like life choices you made, it's fine.
Yeah.
But like speaking of commentary, like I know that you married and I've seen how it evolves and progress now. And with a fellow Zoogler as well. Now with one kid,
Yeah.
the very cute son. As the first time you give this book, this manuscript, or this book, this draft to your husband,
Yeah.
what, like what, how that goes? Like now I'm interested.
Let's just say I try to prep him. I told him, at first I gave him like the first 2 chapters, I think. And I think the first 2 chapters was like easier, as in like there's not too many steamy stuff in there. But entering 3, 4, 5, I told him like, okay, just so you know, the next 3 chapters not gonna be easy for you to read. You know, there's gonna be some details and this and that. So I kind of try to prep him, and I knew he took his time. I think he was delaying reading the next chapters because he knew it will be uncomfortable for him. But he eventually read it, and he did say it's not easy, but you know, he rather read it now than later. And I think he ended up getting into this kind of commentary mode as well. He started making notes on like, I think you should change this word here and there, you know?
And the names.
So he's like, he was actually pleasantly surprised of how enjoyable of a read it was for him. Yeah, he actually really enjoyed it, and then he really was entertained and thinks it was a really good read. So I have to thank him. I mean, my husband, Theo. I know it was not easy, but thank you for the support. Yeah, so he's read it. And
Does it change your relationship dynamic in any way?
we had a lot of discussions of it, of course, you know, and like he wants to know more like what happened here and about this person and all that. But he knew this, you know, it's not really about the guys that was written. He knew that this book was more about, you know, this healing journey, and he knows that it has to be there. I think it could help a lot of people who are maybe going through the same thing, was currently in the midst of a breakup or any of that. And yeah, so he knew the book has to come out. You know, he's not gonna stop it or anything. But it was not so easy for him.
But it's also like for me, I think like seeing as well like your progressions, your story unfolds like from 2016 all the way to the love story that you have with now husband Theo. And it's such a beautiful progress, I would say, the beautiful journey. Like to many women out there, or to many men out there, right? That's or many human out there that experiencing similar situations right now, like, and ones who's reading the book, like picking up the book, who's now and one not just knowing the tea,
Yeah.
but also going through the therapy. Like, what would your hope that they take away from this journey?
Well, I think when I first wrote this, I think my hope was just that, you know, if there's someone out there who's maybe in the midst of a breakup, or, you know, just came out of a recent one, and, you know, they felt lonely or felt like they're alone in their pain and what they went through. And if they pick up this book and they can have a little bit of a laugh, because they could relate to some of my journey, or
The chaos.
the chaos and all those things, and they can laugh a little bit, or they can feel just a little bit better because knowing that someone else went through something similar, for me, that's all that matters. I think, if someone just felt a little bit better, I think that makes me happy.
The belonging and also knowing that you're not alone in this journey and you're not the crazy ones to go through all this thoughts and turbilations as well. And lastly, if swipe therapy has a one-line prescription label, I'm a fan of this one-liners. So if a swipe therapy has a one-line prescription table, like a label, what would it be?
I think it's maybe just a little reminder that breakdowns oftentimes are the prelude of a breakthrough. So, if you're in the midst of something really, really hard at the moment, know that there's a chance for you to come out on the other side like a completely different person, a better version of you when you're able to kind of go through this.
So breakdown sometimes is a prelude to breakthroughs. Just weather the storm and this too shall pass. All right. Before we end this, Mira, what's next?
Ooh.
Is there any maneuvers, many surprises, many escapades that we're going to see you going through?
There's a lot of family escapades that I'm going through these days. But
one playground at a time now.
Exactly. But, for swipe therapy, I first I just want to get it in the hands of as many people as possible. And then, when I write, because I'm a very visual person, I always think of it as a visual manner as well. So who knows? Maybe a movie, maybe a TV series.
It has to be a series, please. It has to be. It'll be a fun watch.
So if we have anyone out there from any production house or like any streaming service who looking for an original IP, I'm open. Just putting it out there.
All right. So listeners, viewers, thank you so much for listening. And if you're out there, Spiral Soft, still healing, still swiping, know that maybe the point was never to find the one, but maybe it's been about finding yourself, and again, page by page and swipe by swipe. So be patient, be gentle with yourself. You're not late and you're not broken. You're just here on your swipe therapy. So I'll see you next time. Thank you for spiraling with us and have a good day.
Thank you.